Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the U.E.'s Titan. The stars outside looked peaceful through the large windows. His crew worked quietly at their stations, checking systems and watching for any problems. It was a normal day. In space, just like many others, the Titan was a big warship. It had thick armor and powerful guns. Jake had been its captain for 3 years now. He was a good leader, and his crew trusted him. They were patrolling near a star system called Kepler 442, making sure everything was safe for human ships and colonies. "Captain," said Lieutenant Ben Carter from his station, "I'm getting some strange readings on the long-range sensors." Jake walked over to Ben's console. The young officer looked worried. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. "Energy signatures, sir. But they're not like anything I've seen before. They're coming from the edge of the system, moving this way." Jake frowned. In all his years in space, he had never seen alien ships. No human had. Earth scientists always wondered if other intelligent life existed, but they had never found proof. "How many contacts?" Ben checked his screen again. His face went pale. "Sir, I count at least 200 ships. Maybe more. They're big, sir. Really big." Jake felt his heart beat faster. 200 ships was a massive fleet. No human nation had that many warships in one place. "Red alert," he ordered. "All hands to battle stations." Alarms rang through the ship. Red lights flashed. In the hallways, the crew ran to their positions. In minutes, the Titan was ready for battle. Commander Lisa Park, Jake's second-in-command, hurried onto the bridge. "What's the situation?" she asked. "Unknown fleet approaching our position," Jake sighed. Ben put the sensor data on the main screen. The large screen at the front of the bridge showed what the sensors had found. Hundreds of dots moved slowly through space toward human territory. Each dot was a ship, and they were huge. "My God," Lisa whispered. "Are those alien ships?" "Has to be," Jake said. "Nothing else makes sense." He turned to Ben. "Send a message to Admiral Stone immediately. Tell her we have first contact with an unknown alien fleet." Ben's fingers moved quickly over his controls. "Message sent, sir." Admiral Kate Stone commanded the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet from her flagship, the U.E.S. Liberty. She was a tough woman who had fought pirates and rebels for 20 years. When she got Jake's message, she knew this was the most important moment in human history. "All ships, this is Admiral Stone," she said over the fleet communication system. "We have an unknown alien fleet approaching human space. All vessels are to form up on the Liberty immediately. This is not a drill." 12 human warships changed course and headed toward the Liberty. They included destroyers, cruisers, and the big dreadnought Liberty itself. Each ship was painted gray and carried the blue and white flag of Earth. Back on the Titan, Jake watched the alien fleet get closer. "What do you think they want?" Lisa asked. "I don't know," Jake said, "but they're heading straight for our colonies. We can't let them pass without talking to them first." The alien ships were strange looking. They were not made of metal, like human ships. Instead, they looked organic, like they had been grown rather than built. They were smooth and curved, with a blue glow coming from inside them. Some were small, about the size of human destroyers. Others were massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. "Sir," Ben said, "Admiral Stone's fleet is approaching. She wants to talk to you." Kate Stone's face appeared on the screen. She was a woman in her 50s with gray hair and stern eyes. "Captain Morrison, what's the status of the alien fleet?" "Still approaching, Admiral. They're maintaining course toward the inner colonies. No communication attempts from them yet." "Understood. My fleet will be with you in 2 hours. Until then, keep watching them but do not engage. We don't know if they're friendly or hostile. Yes, ma'am. The next 2 hours felt like the longest of Jake's life. The alien fleet kept coming closer. His crew watched their screens nervously. Everyone knew they were about to make history. Finally, Admiral Stone's fleet arrived. The 12 human ships formed a line between the aliens and human space. They looked small compared to the huge alien vessels, but they were ready to fight, if needed. On the largest alien ship, Supreme Admiral Vexvar looked at the human fleet through his viewing screen. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and forearms. His species, the Zephyrians, had conquered many worlds. They were proud warriors who believed they were the strongest race in the galaxy. "Look at those tiny ships," Vexvar said to his officers. "These humans think they can stop us with those metal toys." His second-in-command, a younger Zephyrian named Kextar, studied the human vessels. "They are small, Supreme Admiral, but their formation is precise. They know we are here." "Of course they know," Vexvar laughed. "They can see our great fleet approaching. Soon they will surrender, just like all the others." The Zephyrians had conquered 12 different alien races. Each time, the enemy had either surrendered immediately or been quickly defeated. They expected the same thing to happen with humans. "Should we contact them?" Kextar asked. "Yes, tell them to surrender now, and we will be merciful. If they refuse, we will destroy them all." Back on the Liberty, Admiral Stone received the alien message. The translation came through broken and unclear, but the meaning was obvious. The aliens wanted humans to give up without a fight. Stone gathered her captains on a video call. Jake saw the faces of 11 other ship commanders on his screen. All of them looked serious. "You've all heard their demand," Stone said. "They want us to surrender our ships and colonies. What are your thoughts?" Captain Rick Hayes of the destroyer UES Falcon spoke first. "Admiral, we can't just give up. We don't know what they'll do to our people." "I agree," said Captain Steve Johnson from the cruiser UES Thunderbolt. "We have families in those colonies. We have to protect them." Jake nodded. "These aliens think we're weak because our ships are smaller. Maybe it's time to show them they're wrong." Admiral Stone smiled grimly. "My thoughts exactly. All ships prepare for battle. We're going to give these aliens a fight they'll never forget." The stage was set. 2 fleets faced each other in the darkness of space. The aliens were confident in their superior numbers and larger ships. The humans were ready to defend their homes and families. Neither side knew that this battle would change the course of galactic history forever. The alien message came through the communication system with a harsh electronic voice. The translator struggled to make sense of the strange language, but the meaning was clear enough to make Admiral Stone angry. "Primitive bipeds," the voice sighed. "Your crude metal constructs cannot stand against the might of the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender now, and we will spare your miserable lives. Resist, and we will crush you like insects." On the bridge of the Liberty, Admiral Stone's jaw tightened. Commander Amy Sullivan, her tactical officer, shook her head in disgust. "They're not very diplomatic, are they?" "No, they're not," Stone said. She activated the fleet communication channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Stone. You heard their message. They think we're primitive and weak. Let's show them what humans are really made of." Stone opened a channel to the alien fleet. "This is Admiral Kate Stone of the United Earth. Space Navy. We will not surrender our ships or our colonies. If you want a fight, you'll get one." On the Zephyrian flagship, Supreme Admiral Vexvar laughed when he heard the human response. "Foolish creatures. They choose death over wisdom. All ships, prepare for battle. This will be over quickly." The alien fleet began to move into attack formation. Their ships were massive and impressive, glowing with blue energy. The smallest alien vessel was still larger than most human cruisers. The biggest ones were like floating cities, bristling with weapons. But Admiral Stone had been fighting in space for 20 years. She knew that size wasn't everything. All ships spread out. Use formation Delta 7. Make them work for every shot. The human fleet split apart, forming a wide line. Each ship was spaced far enough from the others that enemy fire couldn't hit multiple targets. It was a formation designed for smaller, faster ships to fight larger opponents. Captain Rick Hayes commanded the destroyer UEC Falcon. His ship was one of the smallest in the human fleet, but it was fast and well-armed. "Weapons officer," he said to Lieutenant Paul Green, "charge all plasma cannons. Set shields to maximum." "Yes, sir," Paul replied. His hands moved quickly over the weapon controls. All systems ready. The first shot came from a Zephyrian light cruiser. A bolt of blue. Energy streaked across space toward the Falcon. Rick saw it coming and shouted, "Hard to port! Full speed!" The Falcon spun to the left just as the energy beam passed through the space where it had been. The alien weapon was powerful, but it was slow. The Falcon's engines pushed the small ship forward at incredible speed. "Return fire." Rick ordered. Paul pressed the firing button. 3 red plasma bolts shot from the Falcon's guns. They hit the alien cruiser's shields, causing them to flicker and spark. The alien ship was hurt, but not destroyed. Direct hit. Paul shouted, "Their shields are down to 70%. On the Titan, Captain Jake Morrison watched the battle begin. "Lisa, bring us around to support the Falcon." "Ben, target the nearest alien ship." "Yes, sir." Commander Lisa Parks said. The Titan turned toward a large Zephyrian destroyer. Its blue hull gleamed in the starlight. "Weapons locked on target," Ben reported from his station. "Fire!" Jake ordered. The Titan's heavy guns spoke with thunder. Massive plasma bolts slammed into the alien destroyer. The enemy ship rocked under the impact, but its thick armor held. All across the battlefield, human and alien ships exchanged fire. The aliens had expected an easy victory, but they quickly realized something was wrong. The human ships moved like dancers, spinning and turning to avoid the slow alien weapons. Every time the Zephyrians fired, the humans were somewhere else, supreme. Admiral Vexfer stared at his tactical display in confusion. "Why can't we hit them?" he demanded. "Our weapons are more powerful than theirs." Kekstar studied the battle data. "Their ships are much faster than ours, Supreme Admiral. They're using speed and maneuverability to avoid our weapons. Impossible." Vexfer shouted, "No species has ever fought like this. They should be trying to match our firepower with firepower." But humans had learned warfare in a different school. For thousands of years, humans had fought each other on Earth, in space, and on distant worlds. They had learned that the biggest army didn't always win. Speed, tactics, and smart thinking could beat raw power. Captain Steve Johnson commanded the cruiser U's Thunderbolt. He watched 2 alien ships trying to surround the Falcon. "Rick's in trouble," he said to his crew. "Take us in, full speed." The Thunderbolt raced across the battlefield. Its guns fired continuously, hitting one of the alien ships attacking the Falcon. The surprise attack forced the aliens to turn and face this new threat, giving Rick's ship time to escape. "Thanks, Steve." Rick's voice came over the communication system. "I owe you one." "Just doing my job," Steve replied. But he was already planning his next move. The human ships worked together like a team. When one was in danger, others came to help. The aliens fought more like individual hunters, each ship trying to win glory for itself. Lieutenant Paul Green on the Falcon noticed something important. "Captain Hayes, I'm seeing a pattern in their weapon fire. They charge their guns for exactly 3 seconds before shooting. Rick smiled. 3 seconds is a long time in a space battle. All ships, this is Falcon. Enemy weapons have a 3-second charge cycle. Use it. This information spread through the human fleet instantly. Now every human captain knew exactly when the alien weapons would fire. They used this knowledge to dodge even more effectively. The battle was not going as the Zephyrians had planned. They had lost 3 ships already, while the humans had only taken minor damage. Dexver's confidence was starting to crack. Order the heavy cruisers to advance, he commanded. Crush them with overwhelming firepower. 6 massive Zephyrian ships moved forward. Each one was 3 times the size of the largest human vessel. Their weapons could destroy a human ship with a single hit. Admiral Stone saw them coming. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Don't let those big guns target you. The human fleet scattered like leaves in the wind. The alien heavy cruisers fired their massive weapons, but they hit only empty space. The humans were too fast and too smart to be caught. On the Titan, Chief Engineer Tony Martinez worked frantically in the engine room. I can give you 20% more power, he called to the bridge, but only for 10 minutes. Do it, Jake ordered. We need every advantage we can get. The Titan surged forward with new speed. Jake aimed his ship at the largest alien heavy cruiser. All weapons, focus fire on their engine section. The Titan's guns pounded the alien ship's rear end. Explosions bloomed along the enemy vessel's hull. The big ship started to slow down, black smoke trailing from its damaged engines. Commander Amy Sullivan on the Liberty watched the battle from the tactical station. She was looking for patterns, trying to understand how the aliens thought. Admiral, she said, I think I see something. They're fighting like they expect us to stand still and trade shots with them. Admiral Stone nodded. They've probably never fought anyone who uses our kind of tactics. Most species probably just try to build bigger ships and more guns. But humans are different, Amy said. We learn to fight by fighting each other. We know every trick in the book. The Zephyrians were starting to panic. Their superior numbers and larger ships weren't helping them. The humans fought like nothing they had ever seen before. Every time the aliens thought they had a human ship trapped, it would slip away and appear somewhere else. Young Kextar was learning to respect these strange creatures. Supreme Admiral, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. These humans are not like the others we have conquered. But Dexver's pride was hurt. Nonsense. We are Zephyrians. We have never been defeated. Order all ships to close range. We'll destroy them with our superior firepower. The alien fleet charged forward, trying to get close enough that the human ships couldn't dodge. But Admiral Stone was ready for this move. She had been waiting for the aliens to make exactly this mistake. All ships, prepare for Operation Whirlwind. She ordered. Show them what human tactics really look like. The real battle was about to begin. Admiral Stone's voice rang through every human ship in the fleet. Operation Whirlwind is now active. All ships, execute your assigned roles. Show these aliens what human warfare looks like. The human fleet suddenly changed from a scattered group of ships into a deadly war machine. Years of training and practice had prepared them for this moment. Each captain knew exactly what to do. Captain Rick Hayes pushed the Falcon's engines to maximum power. Take us into the asteroid field, he ordered his pilot. Use the rocks for cover. The small destroyer raced between floating chunks of stone and metal. The asteroids had been left over from when this star system was young. Now they would help the humans fight. Behind the Falcon came Captain Steve Johnson in the Thunderbolt. The 2 ships worked together like dance partners. When alien ships tried to follow them into the asteroid field, the human captains had a nasty surprise waiting. Now, Rick shouted. Both human ships spun around and fired all their weapons at once. The alien cruiser chasing them had no room to dodge between the asteroids. The plasma bolts hit it full force, tearing through its armor like paper. The alien ship exploded in a ball of blue fire. The blast lit up the asteroid field like a second sun. "One down," Steve said over the radio. "How many more to go?" On the Titan, Captain Jake Morrison was fighting a different kind of battle. His ship was larger and slower than the destroyers, but it had more powerful weapons. Chief Engineer Tony Martinez had pushed the engines beyond their normal limits, giving Jake the speed he needed. "Target the alien command ship," Jake ordered Lieutenant Paul Green. "Hit their communication arrays." Paul's fingers danced across. His controls. "Locked on target, sir." "Fire!" The Titan's heavy plasma cannon spoke with authority. The energy bolts crossed space and slammed into the side of the massive Zephyrian flagship. Explosions bloomed along its hull, where the communication equipment was destroyed. Supreme. Admiral Vexfer felt his ship shake under the impact. "Damage report," he shouted. "Our long-range communications are down," Kekstar reported. "Weaken only. Talk to ships within short range." Vexfer's face turned darker. Without long-range communications, he couldn't coordinate his entire fleet. The human attack had been perfectly aimed, but Jake Morrison wasn't finished. "All ships, this is Titan. The alien flagship has lost its communication arrays. Now's our chance to split up their fleet." Admiral Stone smiled when she heard Jake's report. Her plan was working perfectly. "Liberty to all ships. Form up on me. We're going to punch through their center." The human dreadnought Liberty was the most powerful ship in the fleet. Its thick armor could take hits that would destroy smaller vessels. Its weapons could crack open any alien ship. Commander Amy Sullivan watched the tactical display from her station. "Admiral, I'm seeing something interesting. When the aliens lose contact with their flagship, they start making mistakes." "What kind of mistakes?" Stone asked. "They're not working together anymore. Each ship is fighting on its own." Stone nodded. "That's exactly what I hoped would happen. These aliens are used to fighting under strict control. When that control breaks down, they don't know what to do." The Liberty charged straight at the center of the alien fleet. Its guns fired continuously, hitting any enemy ship that got in. The massive dreadnought was like a sword cutting through the alien formation. Behind the Liberty came 3 human cruisers. They followed in the dreadnought's wake, protecting its sides and rear. The alien ships tried to surround them, but the human formation was too strong. On the destroyer Hughes Ranger, Captain Grace Thompson had her own mission. Her ship was loaded with fighter planes, small one-person craft that could move even faster than destroyers. "Launch all fighters," Grace ordered. "Operation Hornet's Nest is a go." 12 small fighters shot out of the Ranger's launch bay. They were led by Lieutenant Sam Baker, the best pilot in the fleet. His squadron was called the Iron Eagles, and they had never lost a battle. "Iron Eagles, this is lead," Sam said over the radio. "Target the alien weapons systems. Make them blind and deaf." The fighters scattered across the battlefield like angry wasps. They were too small and fast for the big alien guns to hit, but their own weapons were perfect for precision strikes. Sam dove his fighter toward a huge Zephyrian battlecruiser. The alien ship's defensive guns tried to track him, but he was moving too fast. He fired his plasma torpedoes at the ships. Weapon ports. The explosions were small compared to the massive alien vessel, but they were perfectly placed. Each torpedo destroyed a gun turret or sensor array. Soon the big ship was nearly helpless. "This is Iron Eagle 2, came another pilot's voice. "I've taken out the main guns on Target 3. She's a sitting duck now." Across the battlefield, the human fighters struck like lightning. They hit the aliens where they were weakest, then vanished before the enemy could respond. Supreme Admiral Vexvar watched his fleet falling apart. His ships were larger and more powerful than the human vessels, but they couldn't hit their enemies. The humans fought like nothing he had ever seen. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Our ships are superior in every way." Kekstar had been studying the human tactics. "Supreme Admiral, I think I understand. They're not trying to match our strength. They're using our strength against us." "What do you mean?" "Our ships are big and powerful, but that makes them slow. Their ships are small and weak, but they're fast. They use speed to avoid our weapons and hit us where we can't defend." Dexver's four hands clenched into fists. In all his years of conquest, no enemy had ever fought like this. The Zephyrians always won through superior firepower and intimidation. These humans were using completely different rules. Captain Jake Morrison on the Titan saw another opportunity. 3 alien ships were trying to surround Captain Hayes in the Falcon, but they were bunched too close together. "Tony," Jake called to his chief engineer, "I need every bit of power you can give." "You've got it, Captain," Tony Martinez replied from the engine room. "But if we keep this up much longer, the engines might overload. We'll worry about that later. Ben, target all 3 of those alien ships. Spread our fire across all of them." "Lieutenant." Ben Carter worked quickly at his weapons station. "All guns ready, sir. Fire everything." The Titan unleashed every weapon it had. Plasma bolts, energy beams, and missiles streaked across space. The 3 alien ships were caught completely by surprise. They had been so focused on the Falcon that they hadn't seen the Titan approaching. 2 of the alien ships exploded immediately. The 3rd was badly damaged and started to drift, its engines dead. "Rick, you're clear," Jake called to Captain Hayes. "Thanks. Jake, I owe you a drink when this is over." But the battle was far from over. More alien ships were moving to attack the human fleet. The Zephyrians still had superior numbers. Even though they were losing ships fast, Admiral Stone watched the tactical display and made a decision. "All ships, fall back to position Charlie. We're going to let them come to us." The human fleet pulled back toward a large asteroid. It was a perfect defensive position, with the rock protecting their rear and giving them cover. The aliens chased after them, thinking the humans were retreating. But Stone had another surprise waiting. "Amy," she said to Commander Sullivan, "Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" Amy studied her tactical screen. "Yes, ma'am. They're bunching up again. They haven't learned their lesson." The alien ships crowded together as they chased the humans toward the asteroid. They wanted to overwhelm the human fleet with pure firepower. It was exactly what Stone had hoped they would do. "All ships, prepare for the hammer blow," Stone ordered. "Wait for my signal." The human fleet looked like it was trapped against the asteroid. The aliens thought they had finally cornered their enemy. "Supreme Admiral," Dexver smiled for the first time since the battle began. "Now we have them," he said. "All ships, maximum firepower. Destroy them all." But Admiral Stone was smiling too. "Execute hammer blow. Hit them with everything we've got." What happened next would be talked about in military schools for generations. The human fleet had not been retreating at all. They had been setting a trap, and the aliens had walked right into it. The real surprise was about to unfold. The trap was perfect. The alien fleet had crowded together in front of the large asteroid, thinking they had cornered the human ships. They were about to learn why humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. "All ships, execute hammer. Blow." Admiral Stone commanded. Suddenly, the asteroid behind the human fleet exploded into pieces. But it wasn't a real explosion. Hidden behind the giant rock, 5 more human warships had been waiting. The explosion was their engines firing up all at once. The U.E. Hammer, commanded by Captain Joe Davis, led the surprise attack. His heavy cruiser had been hiding in the asteroid's shadow since the battle began. With him came 4 destroyers that had been running silent, invisible to alien sensors. "Surprise!" Captain Davis shouted over the radio as his ship opened fire. The aliens were caught completely off guard. They had thought they were fighting 12 human ships. Now there were 17, and the new ones were attacking from behind. The Zephyrian fleet was trapped between 2 groups of human ships. In front of them, Admiral Stone's forces opened fire. Behind them, Captain Davis's hidden squadron struck like a hammer. Supreme Admiral Vexvar watched in horror as his carefully planned attack turned into a disaster. How did they hide ships behind that asteroid? He demanded. KEX checked his sensors frantically. "I don't understand, Supreme Admiral. Our sensors should have detected them." "Unless they were running completely silent," another officer said. "But that's impossible. No crew can survive without power for that long." But humans had learned to do many things that other species thought were impossible. Captain Davis and his crews had been floating in the cold darkness for 2 hours, using only emergency life support. It was dangerous and uncomfortable, but it was worth it for the perfect surprise attack. The alien fleet was in chaos. Ships crashed into each other as they tried to escape the human trap. Some tried to fight their way forward. Others attempted to retreat. The careful formation that Vexvar had built was falling apart. Lieutenant Sam Baker and his Iron Eagle's fighter squadron saw their chance. "All fighters, target the alien flagship. This is our shot at their command ship." 12 small fighters dove toward the massive Zephyrian flagship like hawks hunting a giant beast. The big ship's defensive guns tried to track them, but the fighters were too small and too fast. Sam led the attack himself. His fighters screamed through space, dodging energy beams and plasma bolts. He could see the flagship's bridge through its transparent sections. Alien figures moved around inside, trying to control their fleet. "Iron Eagle Squadron, target the bridge section. Take out their command center." The fighters struck like precision instruments. Their plasma torpedoes hit the flagship's bridge in 12 different places. Explosions bloomed across the ship's command section. Inside the flagship, Supreme Admiral Vexvar was thrown to the floor as his ship shook under the attack. Lights went out, and emergency alarms began to wail. Smoke filled the bridge. "Damage report." He shouted, pulling himself back to his feet. "Bridge systems are failing," Kextar reported. His voice was shaky with fear. "We've lost contact with half the fleet. Navigation is down. Weapons control is damaged." The mighty Zephyrian flagship, which had seemed invincible at the start of the battle, was now a crippled giant. Commander Dan Foster on the Liberty had been listening to alien communications all through the battle. His intelligence team had learned a lot about how the Zephyrians fought. "Admiral Stone," he reported, "I've figured out their command structure. Everything flows through the flagship. When it's damaged, the other ships don't know what to do." "Admiral." Stone nodded. "That's their weakness. They're too dependent on central control. Our ships can fight independently if they need to." She was right. Human military doctrine was different from the alien approach. Each human captain was trained to think for himself and make quick decisions. The aliens relied on orders from their superiors. Captain Rick Hayes in the Falcon saw 3 alien destroyers trying to escape the battle. They were damaged and running away, but Rick wasn't going to let them go. "Steve, Grace, this is Rick. I've got 3 runners heading for the outer system. Want to help me round them up?" Captain Steve Johnson in the Thunderbolt and Captain Grace Thompson in the Ranger immediately changed course. The 3 human ships worked together like a pack of wolves hunting their prey. The alien destroyers were faster than most Zephyrian ships, but they were still slower than human vessels. The chase didn't last long. "I'll take the left one," Grace called out. "I've got the right," Steve added. "That leaves the middle one for me," Rick said with a grin. The 3 human ships attacked simultaneously. The alien destroyers tried to fight back, but they were outgunned and outmaneuvered. Within minutes, all 3 enemy ships were either destroyed or surrendering. Back at the main battle, Captain Jake Morrison in the Titan was facing the largest alien ship he had ever seen. It was a Zephyrian dreadnought, even bigger than the flagship. Its massive guns could destroy the Titan with a single hit, but Jake had learned something important during the battle. Size wasn't everything. The big alien ship was powerful, but it was also slow and clumsy. "Tony," Jake called to his chief engineer, "I need everything you've got. We're going to dance with that giant." "Engines at maximum, Captain," Tony Martinez replied. "But I'm not sure how much longer they can take this punishment. Just hold together for a few more minutes." The Titan began to circle the huge alien. Dreadnought like a fighter dancing around a heavyweight boxer. The alien ship tried to turn and track the smaller human vessel, but it couldn't rotate fast enough. Jake kept his ship moving, never staying in one place long enough for the alien. Guns to lock on. At the same time, he fired continuously at the giant ship's weapon systems. "Target their gun ports," Jake ordered Lieutenant Paul Green. "Knock out their weapons one by one." Paul's accuracy was perfect. Each shot from the Titan's guns destroyed. Another alien weapon turret. The massive dreadnought was slowly being stripped of its ability to fight back. The alien captain of the dreadnought grew frustrated. His ship was the pride of the Zephyrian fleet, but he couldn't even hit the tiny human cruiser that was tearing him apart. Across the battlefield, the tide of battle had completely turned. The aliens had started with over 200 ships. Now, less than half of them were still fighting. Many were destroyed, others were badly damaged, and some were trying to escape. The human fleet had lost only 2 ships, and both of those had been damaged rather than destroyed. Their crews had been rescued by other human vessels. Admiral Stone watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "All ships, prepare for the final assault. Target the alien flagship. It's time to end this." The remaining human ships formed up for one last attack. The Zephyrian flagship was badly damaged, but it was still the heart of the alien fleet. If they could capture or destroy it, the battle would be over. Supreme Admiral Vex Vor knew his fleet was beaten. His proud warriors, who had conquered 12 different worlds, were being destroyed by these small human ships. It was impossible, but it was happening. "Supreme Admiral," Kextar said quietly, "perhaps we should consider surrender." Vex Vor's face twisted with rage and shame. "Surrender? Zephyrians do not surrender. We fight to the death." But even as he spoke, he could see the human ships moving in for the final attack. His mighty fleet was broken, his flagship was crippled, and his dreams of easy conquest were in ruins. The humans had proven something that would shock the entire galaxy. They were not primitive creatures to be easily conquered. They were warriors who fought with intelligence, courage, and teamwork. The final assault was about to begin, and everyone in both fleets knew that the battle's outcome would change everything. The final assault began with Admiral Stone's voice echoing through every human ship. "All vessels, concentrate fire on the alien flagship. Disable, don't destroy. We want prisoners and information." 17 human warships moved in perfect coordination toward the crippled Zephyrian flagship. A massive alien vessel tried to fight back, but most of its weapons were already destroyed. The few guns still working fired desperately into space, but the human ships were too fast and too smart to be hit. Captain Jake Morrison brought the Titan in close to the flagship's main engine section. "Paul, target their power core, but use low-power shots. We want to disable them, not blow them up." Lieutenant Paul Green adjusted his weapons carefully. Low-power plasma bolts ready, sir. Fire. The Titan's guns spoke with controlled precision. Instead of the devastating full-power blasts they had been using, the weapons fired gentle shots that damaged the alien ship's engines without destroying them completely. One by one, the human ships took out the flagship's remaining systems. Within 10 minutes, the great Zephyrian command ship was completely helpless. It drifted in space, dark and silent. Supreme Admiral Vexvar sat in his ruined command center, surrounded by broken equipment and injured crew members. His proud flagship, which had led the conquest of 12 worlds, was now a floating wreck. "Sir," Kekstar said quietly, "we're receiving a communication from the human fleet." Admiral Stone's face appeared on the damaged screen. She looked calm and professional, not like someone who had just won a great victory. "This is Admiral Kate Stone of the United Earth Space Navy. Do you surrender?" Vexvar stared at the human. Woman. Everything he believed about warfare had been proven wrong. His superior numbers, his bigger ships, his powerful weapons, none of it had mattered. These humans had defeated him with tactics and teamwork. He began, then stopped. The word surrender was hard for a proud Zephyrian to say. We yield to your superior tactics." "Good," Admiral Stone said. "Prepare to be boarded. We'll send medical teams to help your wounded." Vexvar was confused. "Medical teams? For us?" "Of course. You're wounded, aren't you? We don't leave injured people to suffer, even former enemies." This was completely outside Vexvar's experience. In Zephyrian culture, defeated enemies were either killed or enslaved. The idea that victors would help their beaten foes was impossible to understand. Dr. Helen Martinez led the medical team. That boarded the alien flagship. She was the chief medical officer from the Liberty, and she brought supplies to treat both human and alien injuries. When she saw the wounded Zephyrians, she immediately went to work. "Don't worry," she told them through the translator. "We're here to help." The alien medical officer, a Zephyrian named Hexstar, watched in amazement as the human doctor treated his people. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "We are your enemies." "Not anymore," Dr. Martinez said as she bandaged an alien's injured arm. "The fighting is over. Now we take care of the wounded. That's what civilized people do." Commander Alex Wright, the Liberty's diplomatic officer, set up a meeting between Admiral Stone and Supreme Admiral Vexvar. The two leaders met in the Liberty's conference room, with translators standing by. Vexvar looked older and more tired than he had at the battle's start. His forearms hung at his sides, and his gray skin had lost its proud color. "I do not understand your people," he said. "What don't you understand?" Admiral Stone asked. "Everything. Your tactics, your mercy, your willingness to help defeated enemies. In all our conquests, we have never met anyone like humans." Stone leaned forward. "Tell me about these conquests. How many species have you defeated?" 12, Vexvar said, and there was no pride in his voice anymore. 12 different races across 24 star systems. All of them fell to our superior firepower. And how did they fight you? Like we expected them to. Ship against ship, gun against gun. They tried to match our strength with their strength. They all lost quickly. Admiral Stone nodded. "That's where you made your mistake. You assumed we would fight the same way." "But how could we know?" Vexvar asked. "Every species fights the same way. Build bigger ships, more powerful weapons, larger fleets. That is how wars are won." "Not for humans," Stone said. "We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've learned that the strongest doesn't always win. Sometimes the smartest wins. Sometimes the fastest wins. Sometimes the most united wins." Commander Wright spoke up. "How long have your people been spacefaring?" 300 of your years." Dexfer replied. Humans have only been in space for 400 years, Wright said. But we spent thousands of years before that fighting wars on our home planet. We had to learn every possible way to fight because we were always fighting each other. Dexfer, eyes widened with understanding. You learned to fight by fighting yourselves. That is why your tactics are so unusual. Exactly, Admiral Stone said. Every mistake that could be made in warfare, we've already made it. Every tactic that could be tried, we've already tried it. When you attacked us with standard formation warfare, we knew exactly how to respond. The interrogation continued for hours. Dexfer told them about the Zephyrian Empire, their conquests, and their plans for human space. But he also shared something more important, warnings about other alien races. There are others, he said, races more dangerous than we are. The Vorthan Collective controls 100 systems. The Nexus Empire spans entire sectors of the galaxy. They will see your victory over us as a threat. Admiral Stone felt a chill. You mean this is just the beginning? I fear so. Word of our defeat will spread quickly. Other empires will want to test themselves against the humans who destroyed a Zephian fleet. 3 days later, Admiral Stone held a final meeting with Dexfer before releasing the surviving Zephyrian ships. The alien commander looked different now, humbler, more thoughtful. I have a request, Dexfer said. Allow me to carry a message back to my government. What? Message? That humans are not to be underestimated. That they fight with honor as well as skill. That they show mercy to defeated enemies. He paused. And that any Zephyrian who attacks human space again will face the same fate we did. Admiral Stone agreed. Your ships are free to go. But remember, our agreement. No Zephyrian vessels will enter human space without permission. You have my word, Dexfer said. And the word of Supreme Admiral Dexfer has never been broken. As the damaged Zephyrian fleet limped away toward their home systems, the human ships began their own journey back to Earth. The battle had lasted only 6 hours, but it had changed galactic history forever. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Titan, watching the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. Commander Lisa Park joined him at the viewing window. Do you think they'll keep their word? She asked. I think so, Jake said. We gave them something to think about. And more importantly, we showed them that humans are not easy prey. But the Supreme Admiral was right, wasn't he? Other alien races will hear about this battle. They'll want to test us too. Jake nodded. Probably. But now we know we can handle ourselves. And every race that challenges us will learn the same lesson the Zephyrians did. Admiral Stone sent a report to Earth Command, describing the first contact with alien life and the victory that followed. The news would shock the human worlds and change everything about how humans saw their place in the galaxy. But Stone also included Dexfer's warnings about other alien empires. Earth would need to prepare for more battles, more tests of human resolve and ingenuity. On Earth, in the deep command centers where human leaders planned for the future, new decisions were being made. The fleet would be expanded. New weapons would be developed. Training programs would be improved. But the most important lesson had already been learned in the battle near Kepler 442. Humans were not alone in the universe, but they were not helpless either. They had something that many alien races seemed to lack: the ability to think, adapt, and work together under pressure. Years later, when the history books were written about humanity's first contact with alien life, they would call it the Battle of Kepler 442. Military schools across human space would study Admiral Stone's tactics and Captain Morrison's courage. But the veterans of that battle knew the real truth. They hadn't won because they were stronger or had better weapons. They had won because they were human, and being human meant never giving up. never accepting defeat, and always finding a way to turn the impossible into the inevitable. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but humanity was ready for whatever came next. They had proven that size doesn't matter, that numbers don't always win, and that the will to fight smart is more important than the power to fight hard. The alien races would learn to respect the small ships with the Earth, flags, and in the deep. Councils of a dozen empires. New plans would be made and new strategies developed, all centered around one simple fact. Humans were not to be underestimated. The age of human expansion into the galaxy had truly begun.